So did you do bars for a while before? Like,
Yeah.
did you just play cover songs in bars for a while? Did you go through that normal trajectory?
Yeah, I guess it was probably, if you count the years after I got my break, when I was still playing bars for $50. It was about 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
You
it
ever
was
think about
starting
doing
to
air
wonder if I'm
conditioners?
going about it the
Yeah.
right way.
Maybe you should do air conditioners, Clint.
If I would have had a fallback, you see, my brother Kevin, we both quit ironworking, and I started playing in bars. He and I started playing in bars, and then he left and went back to ironworking. It's just dependable money, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that ironwork anymore. Every day I just thought, why aren't I singing somewhere? And I had to make the decision, if this is as far as I get, this is what I'm going to do. And so there wasn't a way out. I think that's part of the reason I, made it through.
Yeah, you have to have.
Sir, can we turn my volume down of me some, please? I've
Yeah.
had enough of me.
Yeah, turn them down to my ears too. It's too much. Way more me.
You turn it down for the viewers also. They don't need as much.
We'll AI them in.
Hey, that's great. Thanks. He probably didn't turn it down at all.
No,
Just checking to see if I know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
I had a friend once in college, and we went to El Chico in Arkansas. There was like an El Chico at the mall, and he didn't know that they were giving him virgin drinks, so he was getting drunker and drunker, but he thought he was really getting drunker and drunker because they were like, here's another, and he was just so sloppy. And then at the end of the night, they were like, there was no alcohol in those drinks. And he was like, he was embarrassed.
Did y'all put him up to that, the bartender?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was a great prank.
Yeah.
Because he kept wanting to drink, and he had no idea. It was like with you at the headphones. If you had you're like, yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, it's down a lot. And
Yeah,
we didn't do anything at all.
You ask the engineer for something, and they just say, perfect before they've actually done it. I know you're an idiot.
You're in the bars for 10 years. At any point, did you think maybe I won't even be a front man? Because there are other paths. You can play guitar in a band.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I played guitar to accompany myself. I never set out to be good at guitar. I wanted to sing, and I needed this simple guitar part to do at least that. So I wasn't on a path to being a side man.
And that never like fell in. Like, maybe this is what I'll do. I want to stay in music, but it never was, I think I'll go be a part of a band then.
When I was in the band with my brother, there were too many conflicts, too much disagreement, and there was not one person who could ultimately decide on anything. So when I came out of that band and went solo, I knew if I ever have a band again, it'll be one I put together, and I get to say what happens.
So then what was the moment, or why did you get your break? So you're playing in the bars, but when did it change? Did you move to Nashville first?
No, there was no way I was going to move to Nashville first. It was too intimidating, it was too much of an enigma, and I knew I had to have a manager. So what finally made the switch for me, I was reading all these books, self-help, music business, the Platinum Rainbow, and all these things, trying to figure out how am I going to do this, because what I'm doing isn't working. And I found a book called Time Management, Work Smarter, Not Harder. And I followed the exercise in the book of laying out goals, and under each goal you write down every activity you can imagine would lead you to that goal. And then every day your job is to be checking off as many activities as you can, one of which was make a demo. So I had this gig that I was going to get, and it was twice what I was earning playing solo gigs. It was $100 a night. And in order for me to get that solo gig, I had to do this party for them with a band. So I found a band, and by the time we got to a rehearsal with the band, the guitar player that was in the band had left, and Hayden Nicholas, was now the guitar player for this gig. And so Hayden was great, best guitar player I'd ever played with. So we gravitated to one another. He said, "What are you doing?" "I'm trying to make demos." He said, "I have an 8-track recorder, and we can make some demos. I'll charge you $150 a song. And if you get a record deal out of it, it goes up to $300, retroactively."
So you got to pay him more if you get a record
If
deal.
I get a record deal,
Got
yeah. So we struck that deal and started making demos. And I needed the demo to find a manager. I knew a record promoter in town because he managed in quotation, managed me for 10 minutes. And but he was a legitimate record promoter with platinum records all over his office walls. So I knew he knew people. And the first demo we finished was "Nobody's Home." And took that to him, and he took me to Bill Ham, who I knew was ZZ Top's manager. And that was my break.
And he believed in you. He heard it and believed it.
Yeah. He heard that and 2 other songs from the first album that we had demoed. By the time I met him, we had that song, Maybe Nothing's News, and Winding Down. And so, yeah, he heard those and said he wanted to hear more. So Hayden and I feverishly went to work making more demos.
What were you wearing then? Did you have a look?
Yeah, I had basically the same look. I didn't have a cowboy hat. The one I had was trashed, and I couldn't even really afford guitar strings. The guy at the guitar store sold them to me as cheaply as he could. And I went through a lot of guitar strings playing 4 to 7 hours a night, and you sweat right through them, so I'd have to have 2 sets per night for 2 guitars.
Wow.
So between that and gas, I mean, I really, until I got the record deal, I couldn't afford to buy a new hat. And as soon as I could afford a new hat and I got some new shirts out of the deal, I got a nice cowboy hat, kind of like the one you see behind here. But it wasn't until I met this guy, Doug Eastman, with the Waco Hat Company, who said, "I'm going to make you a hat that really fits your head." And he put a device on my head, and it printed out the shape of my head, and he made it. And the brim was about 3/4 of an inch shorter than the hat I was wearing. And as soon as I put it on, I knew this is my hat.
Did you stay with that type of hat forever?
Forever, still today. Yeah, in fact, I still have that hat, and the guy down in Texas that makes my hats now, it's in his office. It's the model. So every time they make me a new hat, they go by that.
When did you move to Nashville? How long after that?
91.
You didn't move here till 91?
No.
Even though you were in the famous class of 89?
Yeah. But I was here all the time.
But you didn't move here?
But it was, I never got home. I was in a hotel here all the time. So finally, I wanted to stay in Texas. I recorded most of the albums in Texas. And, but I never got home. I had my place there, and when I got a little bit of money, I got a better place, and I just never saw it.
What was it then that made you move here? If you were doing just fine with the place down there,
just knowing every time we had 2 or 3 days off, the buses ended up here, and I could fly home one day, be home a day, fly back the next to get on the bus, and I wasn't going to do that. So found a place here up on Old Hickory Lake on the north side, and lived there for a while. And it was a long drive to get here, and I was coming here all the time into town.
Do you mean from Old Hickory Lake? I think you meant from Houston. Houston, that's a long drive too.
Yeah, but on the north side of Old Hickory Lake, and I was in a little cove between Johnny Cash's house and Roy Orbison's house. I was way up there, and so the drive back and forth was killing me. but also there was a constant flow of people coming by the house, coming by the dock, and yelling up and coming and knocking on the door.
They knew you lived there?
Yeah.
How do they know you lived there?
I don't know. But even the wife of guitar player in Garth's band and 4 other women knocked on my door one morning at 8 a.m. I had to get out of bed to come answer the door. And
what would they say?
They said, "We just wanted to see if you were really nice." I said, "Well, you should have come by at noon."
Did you get a fence? How do you stop that?
You leave. You couldn't get a fence. It was against the regs. And there were people that were drunk that were just coming up in their boats. And
yeah, that's crazy.
I'm from Houston, so my brother was a cop. I worked in security. I had to study crime, and in order to do that job, so that concerned me. If it were just fans that were harmless, okay, just please don't wake me up. But I was thinking with the old security mind that there's too many people coming to my house. But that wasn't why I moved to town. It was the drive. I just couldn't take it.
That album in '89, Killing Time, how many of those songs did you have stashed away in those sessions that you were writing before? Before.
Well, Nothing's News was old. I was 22 when I wrote that. Winding Down was probably, wrote it in 85. Live and Learn, probably in 1985. That's probably it. Winding Down, Nothing's News, Live and Learn. There were other songs that would end up that I'd written like when I was 18, like the next album, Loving Blind, I wrote when I was 18. State of Mind, which was a big hit on my 4th album, I wrote when I was 18.
Do you think it was weird when you came to town and there were co-writes?
No, because I'd already been doing that. I've been co-writing with Hayden, co-writing with Shake Russell, and so I liked that idea. But I had to make sure and write songs by myself so that it didn't become a crutch. So I would have something I'd think, I'm going to get with Hayden, and then I'd say, I really need to write another one by myself. So songs like A Bad Goodbye, and others. I just made myself. It's more fun to write with someone else. There's a lot more juice in the room. There's laughs you can have in between, and writing by yourself it can be exciting when you're making progress and you come up with great ideas, but not a lot of laughs,
Unless you're really crazy.
Yeah, which I am.
Yeah, you got to be crazy to even do this job. You got to be really crazy to be laughing alone as you're writing a song.
Yeah.
On that '89 album, it's your first record. Did you have an expectation of success, or was it you're blind to it? Let's just see what happens.
No, I had an expectation. I'm a country fan first, and we watched everything that country music would feed us, and we listened to all the stations. And thank you so much. Thank you, Morgan. We consumed everything there was to consume. So we were country fans, and we knew what we liked. So if I had something I liked, and my dad liked it, and my brothers liked it, I knew that other people like us would like it. But you don't really know, and I knew I didn't really know. I just thought I knew. And so there has to be at least an ounce of humility in that knowing. And but I believed it. I believed that people were really going to like those songs. I knew we had the wrong first single.
What was the first single?
It was Straight from the Factory, and I knew that was wrong. It was Western Swing, and I'm thinking these big cities. We went into KZLA in Los Angeles, big station. Bob Guerra, the program manager, and we're playing him Straight from the Factory at the end of the first chorus, second chorus, really. He hit stop and he said, "If you get that into the top 20, I can add it." and that isn't what we wanted to hear.
You wanted to hear it go right away?
Yeah. So I had strong doubts about it, but I had a cassette in my pocket, and I didn't know the rules. So I just took a chance. Carson Schreiber, the promotion guy for that region at RCA, wasn't going to hit me over the head later. And I said, "Can I play you another song, Bob?" And he said, "Yeah." So put on A Better Man. And at the end of the first chorus, he hit stop and said, "I'll add that out of the box."
No way.
And we left, and I grabbed Carson. I said, "We have to call Joe Galante and tell him we have to change the first single." And he called Joe, and Joe changed the first single right then and there. And Better Man went number one. Changed everything overnight.
Yeah, fix up your coffee there. It's going to get cold on you. Now we've broken a bunch. So when Sarah was over here.
Sarah, she's a maverick.
Yeah, Sarah Evans was over. She was in one of those chairs over there, and she was rocking back and forth in it, and she wiped out.
I love it. Do we have video of that?
We do, with a coffee in her hand.
Okay, well, you can text me that video later so I can send it to her with commentary.
I was so scared when it happened because you just didn't want her to be hurt. And she somehow fell and held the coffee. It's like when somebody falls or jumps in the lake and they keep their beer up.
Yeah.
She did that with the coffee. I mean, she wiped out, had it, and I'm at a crossroads, and I'm like, well,
yeah.
I like Sarah. Do I poke at her?
Yes.
Or do I call 911?
As soon as you know she's not injured.
That's exactly what I
laugh.
did. And she was awesome about it. And, she was like, yeah, I shouldn't have been rocking back in the chair. But she wiped out. It was awkward for a second.
Well, she's a regular person. And, I've seen things happen to irregular persons who think that they think they're supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
And they can't laugh at themselves.
Yeah, I thought she was super cool about it.
Yeah.
I was worried. Yeah. Also, I was like...
I saw KT Oslin fall down on stage, a show down in Florida.
Yeah.
She fell down. She's in high heels and a tight skirt, and she's laying on the floor, and she signals the band, and the band stops, and she's lying on her side looking at the audience, and she says, "I bet y'all are wondering how I'm going to get up from here."
Have you ever fallen off stage?
Yeah.
Off What happened?
Injury.
Oh.
Surgery.
Really?
Yeah. I fell off the stage in Canada in 2015, and I turned it into a jump because I realized I was going. So I went ahead and jumped instead of just teetering over, and but I couldn't see. We were in an arena and concrete floor, and I couldn't see the ground because of the spotlights, and so I wasn't able to time the bending of the knees for shock absorption. And I landed on my right heel with a straight leg, and it ruptured a disc in my lumbar. And I knew something was wrong. I didn't know how bad, but I got back on stage. I kept singing.
Adrenaline kept you up?
I wasn't playing guitar on that song, Put Yourself in My Shoes. And I just got up and finished the show, and I iced it all the next day, which was a day off. And then I had 2 more shows. I got through those shows. My right leg was numb. I almost fell a few times just because I couldn't really feel my leg. And then I got on a plane and flew to L.A. And by the time I got to the airport, I had to request a wheelchair. And I hated it. I wanted to will myself through the pain, but I couldn't, and I had to be wheeled out of there. And I was in surgery 2 days later. I went in for injection to try to see if maybe it was just bulging, and had images, and you couldn't really tell. And then the next day he had to do surgery, and he told me in post-op, he said, "You would have never been able to endure this. There's so much debris just lacerating nerves."
Were you like at the edge and you didn't know it of the stage?
Yeah. My crew normally puts a piece of white tape along the front edge, and this was the one time they forgot. And
Oh, user error, crew user error.
Yeah, I still could have gone over the spotlights. Sometimes are just too bright, and sometimes I don't look down. I think I know where I am, but nonetheless, it was.
How long were you out?
Well, I recovered. 3 days later, I had to be back on stage for a charity TV show that I had developed and pushed up the hill. It was Chideo. It was a songwriter competition that we taped here in Nashville. So, no, it was 10 days later. But 10 days later, I was back on stage doing that TV show, and then 3 days after that, I was back on tour. And I would only go as far as my surgeon would tell me I could go before I hurt myself. Pain I've endured. I've had lots. I injured my spinal cord once in a mountain biking accident. I ran into a tree. So it just developed a lot of problems with my cervical spine. So I've been through a lot of surgeries. I've been through the back of my neck 5 times and through here about 4 or 5 times, just buttressing up my cervical spine. So I've managed to deal with the pain with just some Advil, but when it's in the lumbar, it's something different. And I remember thinking about canceling. I had to cancel shows just to have the surgery, but I thought about the other ones that I had coming up, but I couldn't do it.
You just got through them?
Yeah.
Mm. What kind of kid were you? Were you a studious kid?
Great kid. Great.
Yeah, energetic
Everybody
kid,
loved
obviously, yes. But did you, I feel like you're talking about books. I always like to read books, even as a kid. Is that what you were into? Did you read a lot of books?
I did not. I was a terrible student.
No way.
Awful. I wanted to be a good student, but, I just couldn't figure out how to take notes and get to the homework and do the homework well. And then I fall behind, and then it's even harder. Fall behind. 9th grade, I failed. I repeated the 9th grade. 10th grade, I was going to fail. I had to go through summer school to get into the 11th grade. 11th grade, I was going to fail, but I was 18 by then, and I dropped out and went into construction. And within a year, I knew just what a mistake it was, and I started then doing everything I could to fill in the gaps, make up for the lost time. So then I started reading nonfiction mostly for a long time. So it would have been history books, biographies, self-help books, The Platinum Rainbow, This Business of Music, all those things that would have helped at work. Psychology books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, everything like that I could find. I got a program that was on my laptop, and it was all punctuation. And I just ate it up because I've felt like I can go at my own pace now, and I was able to learn that stuff more slowly.
Do you feel like you had ADHD? Because you're really smart. Obviously, I don't need to know what you read. I can just tell by talking with you. I mean, and knowing you a bit that we know each other now, like I have to prepare myself to keep up with you. Like you have a brilliantly fast mind.
Well, keep talking.
No, it just feels like they didn't know how to teach you.
Well, I didn't have a lot of help at home. My mother wasn't a good student. She wasn't educated beyond high school. My dad, really tired, so he wasn't going to come home from, being on the job at 5 a.m. and do homework. He would help a little bit with math. He was really good. So the support there wasn't at home, and the discipline wasn't there. I could get away with skirting it. So as I felt more and more lost, I was able to just get by without anyone at home saying, "Show me your homework."
When did you know you wanted to do music then? Like how old?
I started harmonica when I was 13 and then guitar at 15. And by the time I was 17, I was deciding on whether I was going to join the Air Force and work my way into the space program or be a musician. I had singer's grades, so I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near an airplane, much less a rocket.
Did you do harmonica to accompany your brother?
At what?
The harmonica, did you play that to accompany your brother?
Well, actually, my brother Brian was already playing, and then I just played it everywhere I went. We'd go down to the pool hall. My friend said, "Hey, let's throw down a hat." And then people put money in there. And then by the time I got the guitar, I got a harmonica brace, and I was just out in the neighborhood playing the 3 songs I knew for everyone who would listen. My brother Kevin had the band, and they didn't have a bass player, but the lead guitar player, Gavin Van, would set up an extra microphone, and I'd get up and pretend I was plugged in and sing harmonies around my brother. But I wasn't playing that much harmonica with them.
Yeah, usually the younger brothers have to like pick up a bass because the older brother's playing guitar.
I became the bass player.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you still play bass at all now?
No.
Could you fall back into it?
Yeah, I could. I'd have to lose the. I grow my nails out longer to use as picks, and they wouldn't work on bass. Yeah, I've done it a little bit, in the studio, just getting a part together.
Yeah, what kind of studio artist are you? Because obviously, you're a great musician. Therefore, you're
obvious. It's obvious to anyone.
I'm going to be honest. I had never seen you live until the Opry was shut down for COVID, and I hosted the Opry all during those empty shows. And you played, and Darius played. You guys played, and so there's like 7 of us there in the whole building. And I watched you with nobody around just shred a guitar. And I had no idea you were such a proficient guitar player. I knew you could play, and I know you played lead parts because I'd seen that, but I had no idea it looked like to me such an advanced guitar player. Now I play rudimentary guitar, and so I was kind of blown away at your guitar ability. So I would imagine you're in a studio. Are you a perfectionist? Are you right alongside whoever's producing the record and going, okay, I don't think this is exactly right?
No, but I'm producing my own records and since '99 or something. But I'm not a perfectionist, and I don't even like the word. I think excellence is the better goal. You can achieve excellence. Perfection is an accident. It happens because you get lucky during trying to be excellent. So I don't strive for perfection ever. But I know what my ear likes. So if my ear's not liking it, it's not excellent.
It sounds like that's the same idea you had with that first record, when you're like, hey, I know what country music fans like. I know what I like as a country music fan, and so we're going to make that kind of record. And I want to go back to you and Better Man being added out of the box, which for those that don't know, that's a station programmer will go, I'm going to add that to my playlist immediately before it's even actually asked to be added. It's like the earliest you can get a song added. So this LA program director says that your label switches over. They now promote it. How fast until that song actually became something you were known for or that was played on the radio?
Well, it went to number 1. It was 17 weeks.
In today's time, that's pretty quick. How quick was it that back then?
It was long.
It was?
Yeah. It took its time. It was steady enough. But I think back then, you could get a song up to number 1 and back. You could get like almost 5 a year, which I don't think you can do now.
You can't do that now. Like you can now if you're like Morgan Wallen, and that's so different than anything else that's happened in my career in Nashville. Like that's super, super fast. But yeah, that's crazy you could do that back then. And you think 17 weeks was slow back then?
Well, that's the impression I got.
Because they were telling you. Because you didn't know what was really fast and what was slow.
Because people who would interview me after say, were you worried it wasn't going to get there? I mean, it took a while. Things like that just, get ingrained. Oh, it took a while, but I don't think I remember enough about that moment in my career uh, to remember anything specifically where other records are doing it in 10 weeks and
Yeah.
yours took 17. I don't remember really.
That song, as it was climbing, like, could you feel more people singing along, and or depending if they're your shows or not, the crowd's getting bigger?
Yeah, we were playing bars, and the bars were packed, and CMT had a lot to do with that because I wanted to get a video right away, and came up with a plan with Mary Hamilton at RCA to do that and have it ready to go instantly. When the single was released. So the video, TNN, the Nashville network, was smoking hot back then. We were all watching it, every country fan. So being on the Ralph Emery show, Ralph was saying things like, "I like you," and "I think you're going to be around a while," and I think that helped a lot. I was getting on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, Jay Leno when he guested. Um, I was really looking into all the other ancillary platforms you could be on. And the Wall Street Journal, a reporter came out and rode the bus for a few days and did a feature article on that. USA Today did one, and I think it was on the cover of the entertainment section. So the video, TNN, all those other things, we were feeling it.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get spots opening for the Judds in Alabama. Dwight Yoakam, I did a month out on the road with him. So it was clear that even if it didn't go to number one, that it was going to have a big impact.
Can you give me a Johnny Carson story?
Johnny Carson, I think the second time I did the show with him, I wanted to do something that used my full vocal range, and we had been playing on the road kind of a Hank Jr. version of "Ain't Misbehavin'," but I would go up and sing real high toward the end of the song, and so we did that on there. And when I got over to the couch, Johnny said, "Wow, you have a falsetto you could throw a cat through." I thought, wow, that's one compliment I will never forget.
It's got to be a crazy feeling to go 10 years in bars to doing the Tonight Show. Were you able to have awareness of how cool it was to be getting those big moments, or were you so in it that it was difficult to actually understand or be happy about it?
I think I was mostly overwhelmed by the workload because I was doing 9 cities in a row, one day off, 8 in a row. One time we did 21 in a row, day off, and calling into radio stations in the morning and in the afternoon drive time, and meeting and greeting 30 to 100 people before the show, before every show. It was I was constantly worried about being able to sing.
Because if you're tired or sick, you don't have a voice.
Yeah, or if you talk all day.
Yeah.
And people don't think talking's that hard, but imagine singing a song that only has 3 notes and singing it all day long. You may be able to sing some other notes, but those 3 notes are done. And talking is that way. It especially because a lot of us, especially guys, tend to go down here. You don't talk. Michael Jackson spoke up here because it took some of the strain off his vocal cords.
Wait, is that really why?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I didn't know that.
It's absolutely why. I went to his voice coach. I've been trying to find someone in Houston for years, and I'd worked with some voice coaches. I knew I didn't have a good warm-up routine, and I thought I'd have better technique, take the strain off. But no one was helping me. And when Lisa and I got married, and I told her, and she took me to Seth Riggs, who was the top guy in L.A. He was Michael's guy. And he didn't tell me anything about Michael, but he he said, whenever you're talking, just don't talk down here so much. Try to stay up in here and make it easier. And Michael just took that all the way up to here. But Seth had a young guy who was 18, Steve Real. I told Seth I really wanted someone to go on the road with me, and he calls Steve in, and Steve comes in, hey, and he goes, Steve, Mr. Black is looking for someone to work with him on the road, warm him up, show him some techniques that'll help take the strain off, and are you interested in doing that? Yeah, sure. He goes, how's $1,500 a week? Seth and I didn't even talk money, but he just negotiated for me. And Steve goes, sure. And he goes, Mr. Black's a country singer, and so to fit in with his entourage, he may ask you to take the earring off. You want to do that? Yeah, sure. That was it. And Steve spent the next 12 years on the road with me, singing in the band.
No, he sang in the band?
And working with me when I had trouble. If I was sick, he would give me some, specific type of warm-up to get through that. And, if I was singing something on stage and making it harder than it had to be after the show, he'd say, when you do that, if you do this vowel, instead to get up to your high note and then switch, it's much easier to get up there. And it saved my sanity, it saved my voice, gave me longevity I don't think I would have had, and it just made everything easier.
What'd you follow up after Better Man?
Better Man, and then Killing Time.
Did that one feel even bigger?
Oh yeah. Well, it was stepping off, already on the first floor. So Killing Time shot up there. Better Man and Killing Time were the number 1 and 2 singles of the year, which hadn't happened in 34 years. The last time was Hank Sr. with Kalijah and Your Cheating Heart, which I sang in the bars a million times. And I remember thinking, I was careful not to pat myself on the back and break my arm doing it, but I took that ego trip. I had a historical connection to, one of the greatest country artists, songwriters of all time, and I felt it. I mean, I felt the significance of that. It was written about, and it was like, I'm here now. I have my place.
You felt like you arrived.
Yeah.
After Killing Time.
Yeah.
What was next?
Next, I think, was Nobody's Home, and then Walking Away, and then Nothing's News.
That's a pretty epic beginning 5 songs.
Yeah, and they all went number 1. Not all on the same chart. We had, I think, 3 charts back then. So RCA counted them all as number 1s. Because if it makes it on one chart, that's good enough. And so it was billed as 5 number 1 singles on a debut album, which had never happened in any genre. And that kind of it sort of gives you an historical position that makes you a news item. So from there, it was just more and more stories, and things just kept picking up.
How'd you meet your wife?
Well, it's a great story, and you'll be able to read that story next summer.
In a book?
In something.
Are you writing a book?
I'm writing it. Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Give me an abbreviated version.
She and her mom were in Houston doing press for one of Lisa's movies on CBS. And someone at a TV station said, I've got tickets to the Clint Black show. It was New Year's Eve, if y'all want them. And they took the tickets. She had already heard about me because her manager, Herb Nanis, was partners with Stan Moress, who was KT's manager who I knew because I'd toured with KT, and he and I were like Dean and Jerry. We were a comedy show everywhere we went, and he gave Lisa a tape and said, "Listen to this guy. You know, you love him." So now they come to the show. Somebody with my management company brings her backstage. We say hello briefly, and then about 10 days later, we're taping an Opry anniversary show. It's a TV special. And it was the night I was inducted as a member. Before the show, the head of specials, Fred Rappaport, came back to my dressing room and said, "I have Lisa Hartman's phone number." And he's about to give it to me, and he pulls it back when I reach for it and says, "But I'm not going to give it to you unless you promise me you're going to call her." So I promised, and I called her right away. I was going to be in L.A. to do the Tonight Show, and I had one night off. We went to dinner, and we were married 10 months later.
Did you move out there?
I did. I didn't. I kept a toothbrush out there.
Yes, you were out there a bunch, but you didn't live out there. No mail? No mail.
Yeah, she was always doing movies. She did about 6 the year we met, I think. And so I would end up out there if she was working, or she would be in Nashville if she weren't.
Did you ever take a break?
Yes. Yeah. When my first Greatest Hits came out.
How long was the break?
A year and a half. I worked a little, but not like previously.
How did you do on that break?
I did fine.
You did? You liked it?
I needed the break. We were doing 150 cities and all the other stuff a year at least. So,
did you get burnt out, or did you get tired? They're two different things. Which was it?
I think I was worn out, and RCA said, we want to take a break from releasing albums and put out the greatest hits. And I was relieved. And, I wanted to spend more time with Lisa. It was the mid-'90s. And I think that's when we went over to France and Italy for 5 weeks and just
probably have never been able to do that, because 5 weeks, that's a significant amount of time. Yeah. So to be able to go anywhere was that totally different and like revitalizing to be able to do that?
Yeah, I was able to completely detach, which I hadn't detached from work since 1980. When I started playing the bars, everything I did was to get another gig, to play somewhere, to make enough money for gas and guitar strings. The food I was eating was the cheapest food you could get. I'd go to Wendy's and buy a bowl of chili, and I'd get the little sauce cups for my tray, and I'd fill up like 10 of them with ketchup. And then as my chili bowl emptied, I'd add ketchup, stir it in. So by the time I got to the bottom of the bowl, it was mostly ketchup. But I only had to buy one bowl of chili.
Well, that's what makes you appreciate the good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think for me, what I like about the success that I've had is that I know what it's like to not have success. And I think that's what's kept me not only grounded, and even what is grounded when you're a weirdo doing a creative job. Like, I don't know that you're ever really grounded anyway, but I think knowing what it's like not having it has made having it that much more satisfying. And also it keeps me on my toes because I know it can be taken away at any time.
Yeah, it's I feel that way about the post-RCA years. When my deal with RCA was up, they were done with me. They didn't like me writing my own songs and pestered me about that a lot. And so Galani wasn't interested in continuing, and I was happy to go. But all the other major labels I talked to had the, we'll find you songs, and we'll have them produced the way they need to sound to be on the radio. This would have been the early 2000s. So I walked away from that and just became an independent artist. And so radio was over for me then, and I really learned over the years to appreciate what those RCA years did for me, because I've been able to tour all this time. I can tour the way I want. I have 3 buses and a truck and a great crew, great band, and I I think those RCA years being bookended by the club days and then the no major label, uh, pushing your music. Um, I think I appreciate every little thing that happens more than I might have.
I have like 3 questions. Do you remember the first award you won?
Yes,
What was it?
it was the Horizon Award, which was the
Best new artist,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so that would have been what year? 90?
That was
91?
89.
It was in 89?
Yeah.
And do you know who you were up against?
I think it was maybe Kathy Mattea.
Did you think you'd win going into it?
I didn't think about it. I was the reluctant hoper, when it came to awards. Um, it's like I really hope I do, but stop hoping.
Do you have a speech prepared?
No, no, but I had one line prepared, which was I feel like I'm stepping into a painting I've been looking at all my life.
Mm.
And it was like everyone I'm looking at is the people I've been listening to on the radio or watching on Hee Haw or TNN. So I'm looking out at my musical heroes, and it really rang true. And I think I added that I feel like I'm in it now. I'm in the painting with them. I think I was careful how I worded that. I'm the same as you. I didn't want to be too self-aggrandizing, but I knew I had crossed a line. I was driving past a bar I used to play in Houston when I was home, and in an instant, it's like a whole paragraph just shoots through your mind. In an instant, I saw a scene play out of me going into that bar then and now. And I knew going into a bar in Houston would never be the same for me. And I crossed a line. And I remember feeling a little bit remorseful. I got what I wanted, but I lost something, I was a people watcher, and now I was the watched, and so it was nothing bitter or mournful about it. But I remember lamenting for a moment. That's gone. That part of my life.
Was it ever hard being famous?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not a normal thing, I mean, you can run into people here at the grocery store who see people like us all the time, and it's nice, But if I go back home where they're not seeing people like us all the time, I'm an event sometimes, and if people have shrieked, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing you, and I've learned to live in that skin now, and find ways to be comfortable when unusual moments happen. But 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. I mean, there were years where I'd look back and go, I was pretty cool. I had it together. And then I'd look back and I go, no, I really didn't, but now I do. And then years would go by and I'd go, I really didn't.
Yeah.
And then, and it just kept happening to where, I would realize more and more that I'm still adjusting. And when I thought I was calm, cool, and collected, I may have been cool at times, but I wasn't calm and I wasn't collected. And the biggest fear is probably the same with you, is you don't ever want to make anyone feel bad. You don't ever want to make anyone feel like they're intruding. So, there was a period there where I was actually worried about earlobes being ripped off because they've been grabbed, and I've been grabbed in places that don't like grabbing. And so you start to become uptight if you feel like you're suddenly in a crowd that wants to touch you, and so if I thought suddenly now the attention's on me, and I could suddenly find myself in a crowd, I would become uptight, and it took years to get rid of that feeling, and also things calmed down. I think as people get older, which my audience primarily is, they behave a little better. But it was crazy, and it was everywhere I went was an event because I didn't have any time off to go somewhere that wasn't an event. So it was like every room I walked into, it was, oh, he's here, Clint Black's here, and unless you thrive on attention, I like it when I'm singing. I hope you'll pay attention while I sing to you, or if I'm trying to make you laugh, or it's okay, and that kind of attention. But unless you really, I think unless you really thrive, and I know there are some who just walk into a room and they feel like a star. I don't feel like that. I don't have that feeling. I want to walk into a room and be amongst people and not, above them, and it probably sounds self-serving to say it, but I tried my best to treat people the way I would want to be treated and to try to be a normal person.
Do you write a lot of music with your daughter?
Not a lot. I was careful not to do too much because I want her to learn the craft by writing with other writers. So she's going down to Music Row now and doing co-writes. And
what do you think about her doing music?
I love. To me, it's whatever makes her happy. Lisa would joke, "Don't you want to be a veterinarian or something?" And for me, it was just, if you really want to do this, then you have to. It has to be this or nothing else. And so once she made her mind up, and she took a gap year from Belmont after 2 years that we all knew would be the end of, school at Belmont. So we agreed that I would create a homeschooling artist development program for her, and I would be Dean Daddy in it. She would have to listen to me again. And then it was, push and push and push until I felt like I've pushed enough. My pushing won't help you anymore. And then, I just came to her and her mom. I said, I think it's time to throw Lily into the deep end of the pool. And called a couple of my buddies, Rusty Gaston and Clay Bradley, and, and said, hey, I need some advice, where's the best pool? I didn't have to say much. I just wanted to pick their brains, and they took it from there. They said, just tell her to call us. They both said that, and so she called them. She went in for that, high nerve meeting, and they started introducing her to young writers her age, and that was it. It was, I'm still here with advice, but this is your pool now.
Before you came in, we were talking about the back on the Blacktop tour. And do you still play all the songs? Do you have any hits you don't play?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Wait, you do what? You do play all the songs, or you have some you don't play?
I have some I don't play, yeah. And it varies, but I can only do about 22 songs in a show, and then it becomes too long. When Lisa and Lily were on the road with me, we would do more, but they were coming and going in different wardrobe, but 22 songs. I had 31 top tens
Yeah.
and 22 number ones, and so I want to do a couple of deep cuts. There's a couple of barn burners like Tuckered Out that we need to do.
What must you play? Give me the 5 songs you must play every show.
Oh, Better Man, Killing Time, Good Run of Bad Luck, Nothing But the Tail Lights.
So every show you're going to do those. For sure you're going to do those.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think people would be upset if you didn't do those exact ones.
Summer's Coming is one I feel like, And the ones that usually lose out are ballads because you can only do so many ballads in most shows.
Man, what a problem. You have too many hits.
I know,
That's a long way from the bar, man.
Trust me, I know.
That is
how
a
lucky
long
I
way
am.
from the bar. That's awesome. We've done this the other way where I was in that seat, not at the same house, but you've interviewed me. And so tables are turned. Have you sat for many long-form, hour-long interviews?
I don't think so. I did Sarah Evans' podcast, and my manager's right over there. He keeps track of what I'm doing. I can tell you where I'm going. I can't tell you where I've been. It's this weird thing. I have got this Google Calendar, and I can look at it.
What kind of calendar person are you?
Well, what do you mean?
Well,
I have the one on my laptop and on my phone.
Is everything in it?
And everything is in it.
Do you follow it to the dot?
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I live by it. Like my calendar is a massive part of my everyday life.
Yeah, I have to have a calendar, and I have to be. I'm one of those early people. I'm early. I have to look at my calendar, and then I go and then I study the Google map, and I go down to street level, and I drove over here virtually before I came over, so I can, because I'm very anxious. I don't want to miss a turn and be late. It starts to wear on me,
You were, and I say this as another person that's very early all the time. You were very early here. I love that.
Thanks.
Because some people, not as early, some would say late. A little disrespectful, I feel.
It is. Well, I think if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. And my dad was that way, and me and one other brother was that way, and the other 2 brothers were the opposite. And we would tell them tea times that were like an hour and a half earlier than they were, and they'd still be late.
I got into that with my wife a little because she's not a late person, but she's definitely not overly prompt like I am. And so I would start to tell her a little later, and then she would find out that I was telling her later generally, so she'd start stalling on that time. So then I had to move it back even more. So then I'm telling her like an hour and a half early, and eventually she catches up with it, and it became a sore spot. And I'm early everywhere except when I'm with my wife. I was talking to the driver. I had a driver taking me back to the airport from Vegas, and I'm just curious about people in general, and I was talking to her about her job and how long she'd been in Vegas. And I said, are most people late when they go to the airport from Vegas? Because we had been there for work, but we were staying in a casino. And she was like, yeah, most people are late, and the latest are couples. Couples are always late because they're always fighting about something, always fighting to be late. So is your wife early, late? What's her style?
No, she's always rushing to get out the door, and our daughter Lily is always rushing to get out the door. And so now Lily uses what I always used. Here we go. Here we go. Instead of, hey, we need to go, because that can irritate people. We need to leave. We're running behind. You're going to make us late. You can't say that. You can't say any of those.
Yeah, I feel like that's just not effective at all in my house. You have how many brothers?
3.
All boys?
Yeah, no sisters.
Wow, that must have been a rough housing house.
It was. One brother used reason and logic on me, and the other 2, one would seem like he was going to get physical, but he wouldn't, and then the other one would.
Where do you fall in the order?
I'm the youngest.
Wow.
So I was retreating under furniture a lot.
So as the youngest, and you had 3 older brothers, were they ball players, artists? Like what was the brother vibe like?
Ball players when we were younger. The oldest brother wasn't musical, and the rest of us were. The oldest brother, early on went into construction, we all followed him. One became a carpenter, Brian. Mark, Mark became a foreman, and Kevin and I worked for Mark as iron workers. Kevin longer than I did, but we were mostly into music. One became a cop. He was a cop for a while. Got into a bad shootout, and the guy that pointed a gun at 5 deputies, and they had to shoot him. And then Brian, started plugging up holes, and they saved his life. He
Wow.
lived, but then he sued them for 5 years, the deputies and the department, and it really destroyed his love of policing. Brian was always the person who would, jump out at a car wreck to try to help people. When he was in security, he was the first one. Bullet shots, whatever was happening, he was the first one on scene. He was just that way. And when that shooting happened, it changed everything.
What about your mom and dad? What were they like?
Dad was very stoic, very quiet, dry wit, and my mom, who's Italian, who's still with us. She'll be 90 next year.
Wow.
Very dynamic. So you can imagine with 4 boys in the house, she just was driven to anger a lot. And it would come up in a flash when she finally have enough of our nonsense, and then it would disappear in a flash. And just as quickly, she could laugh hysterically. So, her wire was live and ready to go, whichever button you pushed. Mom was ready. And she loved being in the mix. If we were playing in bars, being there, having fun, singing along and all of that. And my dad, not at all. My dad, we would have backyard parties where my brother's band, he and I would be in the backyard playing and barbecuing and all of that. My dad had his lounge chair with his ice chest, and that was him for the whole night. He worked so hard every day, getting up at, 4:15 a.m. and going into work. He was a heavy equipment operator, the tower cranes that go up above the buildings. And it was intense work. So he came home pretty tired.
Do you think that his personality, and where I come from, a lot of people do construction jobs or mill jobs. And so there's not a lot of belief in a job that is art because it's not secure. There's no real security in any sort of artistic endeavor.
Yeah.
When you come from a rural area like I did, the people don't tell you can't do it, but it's really it's kind of a fairy tale, and there's really no consistency in fairy tales. Do you feel like your dad thought that about music? Like he loved you guys and was like, I don't know.
He told me I needed to have a fallback.
The consistency.
But he believed in me as a singer, and he just worried that it wasn't going to work because it seldom does. And there's no roadmap that anyone knows of. I read all the books.
You couldn't find
couldn't
find the one roadmap
no
for everybody?
roadmap in any of those books. And so you just don't know. It's not like a vocation. I was taught how to do iron work, and I could have done it the rest of my life and made good living. If you learn, he wanted me to learn how to repair air conditioners because we were in Houston. A lot of need for that, and
it was always going to be hot.
Yeah,
for the rest of time, it was going to be hot.
Yeah,
and if it's hot, there's work.
Yeah, and you can learn how to do that work, and then just keep doing it. You can learn how to do music, and you can keep doing it, but you're not gonna, make the kind of money if you don't get out of the bars. You're not gonna make the kind of money an electrician would, or, the Maytag guy would.
The Maytag guy made good money. So with
doing commercials.
Yes. And he wore a uniform. So I didn't have to get fancy clothes or anything. Well, I really like you as a person. So I'm super excited that you came over today.
Well, the feeling's mutual.
Well,
and you're a great guy to kid with. I can say things to you in a text and don't have to worry about them being taken the wrong way.
Yeah, I think we're cut from a bit of the same cloth.
Yeah.
But I do have to, when you're around, I got to sit up straight because I know it's coming, and I got to come back or I'm going to be left in the dust.
Well,
And that's a fun thing to have.
Well, it's fun to know you feel that way.
Yes.
Because I'd like to think I'm smart or witty and all of that, but you're pretty smart and witty yourself, so
I'm wearing an earpiece.
whatever you're,
Cyrano de
somebody's
Bergerac.
telling,
They're telling me what to say funny back.
say no coffee. Say no coffee.
All right, you guys go check out the tour. Back on the Blacktop North American tour. There's a final leg in the spring of 2026. Tickets are at clintblack.com. And you did a Killing Time like an anniversary album, didn't you? Like
Yeah, last year we did the whole album in order.
And did you do vinyl on that?
Yes.
Do you still sell those?
Yeah.
Dang, I should have had one of those. Could have got an autograph from my favorite artist.
I have a manager over there. I'm going to talk to him. Ask him why.
Hey, you did our show with us this year too. Thank you for that. I told you thank you about. But
that was fun.
But you came in. We do a big show for St. Jude. And you came and it was really
St.
fun.
Jude's from the very beginning when Randy Owen called me and said, "Will you be involved in our Country Cares for St. Jude's?" He's kicked all that off. I had met a kid in South Carolina who came up to me backstage and said, told me his story. He had cancer. His parents had no means. There was no way to get help where he lived, and his high school friends had heard about St. Jude's, and they drove him to Memphis and dropped him off in front of the hospital. Wow. He walked in, and they cured him.
Wow.
And and I had seen a documentary on it. So when Randy called, it was a no-brainer. Just the fact that they share their research with everyone. There's no, proprietary, ownership.
Yeah, that, and for me, because I was in the hospital a bunch as a kid and without help, because I didn't have cancer, but I had ruptured my spleen, and I had a lot of internal bleeding. But if it weren't for organizations, even our church, I don't know that we'd have gotten through it or even got our bills paid after. And so at St. Jude, one of the things that they do that's so amazing is there's no bill. There's no bill. It's food's covered, travel's covered, housing's covered. And so with that, I think that's why I was drawn to it, to pretty much stay active the whole year with it. It is really a fantastic place. I didn't know that story about the kid in South Carolina.
The thing I found out years later was the hospital opened, I think, the day I was born.
Is that
I think I know it was.
Is your middle name Jude? Then it would be really crazy.
I go by Saint normally, but I know it was the year, but I think it opened February 4th or 3rd. Do you have that, Mike? Mike,
if the hospital started on your birthday, period, then there's something cosmic happening here. If not, just a fun coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm meeting that kid, and of course, Randy, I think, would have called me.
Yeah.
No matter when it opened.
Mike, any date on that?
62, February 4th.
That's my birthday. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Yes.
That is wild.
And I found that out just like 10 years ago. And then I forgot that I knew it. I had to get Mike to help verify it.
Mike, will you Google if any other famous events happened on that day? February 4th, 1962. Any other, and if it's like Hindenburg crashed, it's like
Bobby Bones waited to be born.
That is literally the first thing that pops up when you search that.
What?
The opening of St. Jude in Memphis.
Got it. Is there anything else on that date?
First U.S. helicopter shot down in Vietnam.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that feels more.
I had nothing to do with that.
You sure?
I'm sure.
All right, guys, go check out Clint live at Clint Black. Clint, good to see you, man.
You too. Thanks.
Excellent.